second, press.
Paz, Cochabamba, Bolivia. That's where I'm coming to you from. Before you come to a place like this, before you go to a third world country, you can read about it, you can research, you can look at pictures or even videos, but it's nowhere near what it's like when you're actually there. That human contact, sharing a meal or a joke or a smile or a conversation. So when I got here, we started doing some work in a barrio outside of Cochabamba, the name of Loma Pampa. Met a couple of kids there through some work we were doing, building a community center. And then also my group from Rutgers was giving some informal English classes in the community there.
Luis, ¿no?
Sí.
Dices la misma vez vos.
¿Y tu nombre?
Bailar.
Marco.
Dance.
To dance. Sí, dance. Cantar. Sing. Leer.
That's how it began, and it's turned into something, I guess for me, a lot more emotionally involved than I had ever imagined. I started meeting these kids just around the plaza where they work, and I bought them lunch a couple times, and I actually set up one of the meetings with Roberto, one of the two boys who lives in the barrio Loma Pampa. And at times I feel like their father, which is not something I like, because I'll take these kids out to a restaurant and I'll have to be the disciplinarian, which is weird. I'm not their father. Probably a lot of them don't have fathers, or at least not living at home anymore, and have to keep them in check, which can be tough because they kind of go wild. In total, changes from day to day when I see them, but in total, the ones that I've really got to know, probably about 12 to 13 boys, between the ages of 9 and 15.
¿Qué frases conoces en inglés?
Can I clean your shoes?
¿Por cuánto tiempo has trabajado?
4.
¿Y a qué hora comienzas y a qué hora terminas tu trabajo?
Desde las 8, 9 hasta las 7, 8 de la noche.
¿Y cuánto ganas por día?
Yo 30, 40. No mucho. Depende cuánto hay para lustrar. Si hay poco no se gana tanto. Si hay veces hay alta competencia.
And when I ask them, what do you usually eat for lunch? We don't usually eat lunch. The only way they can get lunch is if someone invites them to lunch, which means someone like me. And I don't think it's that common.
En general, ¿qué comes para almuerzo?
Lo que me invitan.
A veces no como, me invitan, me hagan invitar, eso no me como.
A veces no como.
¿No?
I took a group of 7 of them to the movies as I had promised them. A couple of them were afraid that they weren't going to make enough money for the day, so they couldn't go. I told Roberto, because he in the end was the only one who was really unwilling to just go. I said, how much do you need to make the rest of the day? 30 Bolivianos? I'll give you 30 Bolivianos at the end of the day. Like, I want you to come and enjoy with us. So we did. We all piled into a taxi, and there was one of the boys, David, who was actually working along the Prado. Ruben, the responsible, thoughtful one, as always, said, oh, well, you know, let's stop. When we see him, we'll pick him up. The cab driver pulled over. David came running over and piled into the cab. Tickets are 28 Bolivianos a ticket. These kids are lucky to make that in 12 hours of work, shining shoes in a day. So the security guard looks at me and he says, these kids can't come in. I was waiting for some shit like this to happen. I said, why? Just because these kids have dirty clothes, they're not allowed to have fun, enjoy like everyone else? I said, what's the difference between these kids and every other kid of the same age here? And he said, no, it's not me. It's that a lot of the people who come here are presumido, or they're stuck up, and they don't want these kids in the atmosphere. I said, I was not gonna turn around with my group of 7 boys and say, yeah, you know what, you guys can't go into the movies because you're shoe shiners, because your hands are dirty, because your clothes are tattered, because your skin is darker. What kind of reason is that? These kids work so hard every day. I'm doing this so they can actually be a kid for once. And the first thing that happens to us when we get there is, no, these kids can't come in. Eventually the guy was like, no, it's all right. Got the tickets. And in the end, it feels weird, because was it worth it? Should I have just given them each the 28 Bolivianos it cost for their ticket, and the 6 Bolivianos or 7 Bolivianos I spent for each of them for popcorn and a drink, and just say, you go buy food for your family? Would that have been better? Would I have been helping them more? I don't know, because I don't know if 2 hours of being a kid is more important at this point. I don't know if 2 hours to not think about, I need to sell the rest of this gum before I go home, or my mom's gonna be mad at me, or we're not gonna be able to eat bread tomorrow, or I'm gonna be hungry for the rest of the... I don't know. And as cheap as things are here, I can't just keep buying them material things. I need to make something self-sustaining, or something lasting. And that's the point of this. Make this doc and show it to people back in the US, and hopefully people will care enough to donate a couple dollars, and if I show it to enough people, maybe I could send some of these kids to university here. So they're not that 70-year-old guy shining shoes in the plaza. They're too smart, they have too much potential.